We've all met a character who sticks with us long after we close the book or leave the theater. But every once in a while, we meet someone who isn't even human, and somehow they become one of the most deeply human characters we've ever encountered. I'm talking, of course, about Rocky, the five-limbed, rock-skinned, jazz chord-speaking alien from Andy Weir's Project Hail Mary, a creature who breathes ammonia, sees with sound, and has a body that runs on steam, literally. So let's ask the question that the book itself takes such joy in answering. What is the biology of Rocky the Eridian? To understand Rocky, you have to understand his home. He comes from a planet called Arid, orbiting the star 40 Eridani. And Arid is not a place that would welcome a human. Picture this: twice Earth's gravity, surface temperatures hovering around 210 degrees Celsius, that's over 400 degrees Fahrenheit. An atmosphere so thick it would crush our lungs, made mostly of ammonia, with no free oxygen to speak of. A nightmare for us. For Rocky, it's Tuesday. So how does a creature even evolve in that kind of environment? Let's start from the outside and work our way in. At first glance, Rocky looks like, well, a rock. A friendly, walking, musical rock. He stands about 50 centimeters tall, roughly the size of a Labrador retriever, and his body is built around a pentagonal thorax. From each of those 5 sides extends a limb. And here's the clever part: every single one of those limbs can serve as either an arm or a leg. He's what you might call pentadextrous. He can scuttle along using 3 or 4 limbs as legs while using the remaining 1 or 2 to manipulate his environment. It gives him an almost spider-like grace, but also a remarkable stability in his planet's crushing gravity. His entire body is wrapped in a durable exoskeleton, a sort of natural mineral armor that's been hardened by the extreme pressure of Erid. And on the top of that exoskeleton, he has 5 slits. At first, you might think those are nostrils or mouths, but they're actually radiators. Rocky's internal systems generate so much heat that he needs these slits to vent excess warmth into the atmosphere. They're not for breathing at all, because Rocky doesn't breathe the way we do. Now, this is where things get genuinely wild. Let's talk about how Rocky moves. Most animals on Earth, including us, use organic muscles, bundles of protein fibers that contract and relax. Rocky doesn't have those. Instead, his muscles are inorganic, a porous, sponge-like material sealed inside flexible sacs. And they work by exploiting temperature differences. Rocky has 2 separate circulatory systems. One is his ambient blood, which is basically the temperature of his environment. The other is his hot blood, which is significantly hotter. By shunting hot blood into those muscle sacs, he causes the fluid inside to expand and contract. The result is movement, powered entirely by heat differentials. In other words, Rocky has steam-powered muscles. It's like his body is a miniature steam engine, constantly cycling heat and pressure to generate force. It's efficient in his high-temperature world, and it explains why he's so strong relative to his size. But wait, where does that heat come from? Inside Rocky's body, there's a whole miniature ecosystem. Andy Weir describes it as a little biosphere. Rocky carries both plant-like and animal-like cells inside him. These cells produce oxygen and carbon dioxide internally, cycling them so that Rocky never has to breathe in the traditional sense. He's a self-contained biological factory. And here's the kicker: his actual biological material, the living cells, weighs only a few kilograms. The rest of him is that inorganic infrastructure. Single-celled organisms travel through his bloodstream, constantly building, repairing, and maintaining his mineral-based body. It's a partnership between biology and geology that we simply don't see on Earth. Of course, none of this would matter if Rocky couldn't perceive the world around him. But he can, just not with eyes. Rocky is blind by our standards, but he sees with sound. His primary sensory system is echolocation. He constantly emits short clicks, so high frequency that humans can barely hear them, and interprets the returning echoes to build a 3-dimensional map of his surroundings. In the book, Ryland Grace notices that Rocky can tell the exact chemical composition of a substance just by the way sound reflects off it. He's effectively doing spectroscopy with his own voice. That's not all. Rocky has a form of magnetoreception. He can sense Erid's magnetic field, which gives him an innate sense of direction, like a compass built into his brain. Combined with his echolocation, he's never lost. And then there's his memory. Eridians have a near eidetic memory. They can recall vast amounts of information with perfect accuracy. Why? Because, according to Andy Weir, their brain isn't a soft, squishy organ like ours. Rocky's brain is a solid crystal that grows organically over time, like a tree adding rings. That crystalline structure allows for near-perfect long-term storage of memories. Let that sink in. Rocky's thoughts are literally etched into a crystal inside his head. It's no wonder he can remember intricate engineering details or astrophage reproduction cycles without breaking a sweat. Oh, and about his age? Rocky is 291 years old by the time he meets Grace, and he's not even considered middle-aged. Eridians live for centuries, partly because of that crystalline brain, and partly because their slow, resilient biology doesn't wear out quickly. Every single one of these traits is a direct adaptation to Erid's brutal environment. The high gravity favored a compact, low-slung body with multiple limbs for stability. The high temperature and pressure made organic muscles impractical, so evolution went inorganic, using the very minerals of the planet to build a steam-powered locomotive system. The ammonia atmosphere eliminated the need for oxygen-based respiration, allowing the internal biosphere to develop. But here's one adaptation that's more behavioral than physical. Eridians are intensely social. They evolved a dormancy state, a deep, helpless sleep, far more profound than anything we experience. While they're dormant, they're completely vulnerable. So they develop strong instincts to protect one another, forming tight-knit communities where someone is always awake to watch over the sleeping. This social wiring is why Rocky is so fiercely loyal to Grace. He's not just being nice, he's acting on millions of years of evolutionary programming that says you protect your crewmates no matter what. When Ryland Grace first realizes that Rocky is an intelligent being, his reaction isn't fear, it's awe. And I think that's because Rocky's biology, as alien as it is, forces us to confront a beautiful truth. Life can look completely different from us, run on different chemistry, see with sound instead of light, think with crystals instead of neurons, and still be curious, brave, and deeply, deeply kind. Rocky is a triumph of speculative biology. He's also a reminder that friendship doesn't require shared DNA. Sometimes it just requires a willingness to listen, even if the other person speaks in musical chords. So the next time you look up at the stars, maybe spare a thought for the Eridians out there. Somewhere, on a high-gravity world under a dim orange sun, there might be a five-legged engineer clicking happily as he works on a problem that would stump anyone else. And if you're very lucky, he might just save your life.